Today I want to show you how I use Neville Goddard's naturalness principle to manifest large sums of money. And before I want to share 6 very specific points with you, practical tips with you that you can use in order to use Neville Goddard's naturalness principle to manifest money or to manifest love or to manifest whatever you want. I want to share a quote, or to be more precise, 2 separate quotes from Neville Goddard where he talks about the naturalness principle. And here's what Neville Goddard has to say. If I be lifted up in consciousness to the naturalness of a thing desired, I will draw the manifestation of this desire to me. If you are dissatisfied with your present expression of life, the only way to change it is to take your attention away of that which seems so real to you and rise in consciousness to that which you desire to be. And these 2 quotes sum up the naturalness principle perfectly. And now I want to show you step by step how I use the naturalness principle from Neville Goddard to manifest large sums of money and how you can do the same. The first realization you have to make is that it's natural to have this amount of money because so many other people have it. Whenever we think about an amount of money that we want to manifest, we often, because we come from a lower level of consciousness, or let's say in this specific situation, a lower level of money consciousness, we look at this amount of money and we see this unattainable, huge sum of money. And we totally forget that for somebody else, or also your future self, this amount of money is just a tiny fraction. I mean, when I think about my own life, it sometimes amazes me. Just 4 years ago, when I had no clue about the law of attraction, about the law of assumption, I had never heard of Neville Goddard, Joe Dispenza, or Abraham Hicks ever before. Back then, making $1,000 a month for me was a good month. And the idea of having $10,000 saved in my bank account was completely unrealistic for me. It was just such a big step. Nowadays, when I go in a store, a couple of days ago I visited Dubai, and when I was in a Rolex store in Dubai, I just looked at one of the Rolexes and I was like, oh, that's not too expensive. Which is absolutely insane when I think about it, because just a couple of years ago, if somebody would have told me, hey, you would ever walk into a Rolex store and A, you would actually be able to afford it, and B, you would think to yourself, it's actually not that expensive. Back then I would have told you, are you freaking crazy? What the heck are you talking about? That's completely unrealistic. But nowadays, this is my reality. And it's only my reality because at some point I accepted the naturalness of the amount of money that I wanted. And here's what I did to get there in a very specific practical way. When I was about to, or let's better say, when I wanted to, I wasn't about to, but I wanted to manifest my very first $100,000. I wanted to have $100,000 saved in my bank account. And in the first step, when I looked at this idea of manifesting $100,000, I thought to myself, oh God, how could I possibly do this? That was at a time when I think I had about $12,000, $13,000 saved. That was at the beginning of my money manifestation journey. And during that time, I already had some success with manifesting money. And I was able to actually up my income a little bit with the power of the law of attraction. However, I was nowhere near 100,000. And that's when, thankfully, I talked to one person who I mentioned very often on this podcast, and that's my very first millionaire friend, whose identity I want to keep anonymous because he wants to be anonymous. But anyway, when I talked to him, and he just looked at me and said, yeah, 100,000, it's actually not that much. And I was like, wait, what? Yeah, think about how many people have $100,000. That's what he said to me. And I was like, wow, I always compared myself with the people who don't have anything, and I wanted to get out of there. But comparing myself to the people who have that, and not just comparing, maybe comparing is the wrong word, but let's say using it as an example that it is possible. I think that's a better way of putting it. You use their success as an example for you to say, hey, this is in fact possible. And think about it. If somebody's a multimillionaire, he will look at the 100,000 and say, oh yeah, that's easy peasy. That's not much. And when you understand that it's natural for you to have this amount of money, then it's way easier for you to enter that state of the wish fulfilled because it will feel like a natural feeling. And then you can draw it to you. And it's natural to manifest the money that you want because it's really not that much. It's all relative. Like I just said, if somebody who has multiple millions in his bank account looks at a $100,000 bank account, he says to himself or she says to herself, yeah, it's not that much. So think about it, $100,000 is really not that much. And I know in case right now you're having $1,000 in your bank account and you never had $10,000 even, and let alone $100,000, you might want to say to me right now, Sebastian, have you lost your freaking mind? But I can guarantee you that if you truly understand that from a deep emotional point of view, it will be drawn to you. Nowadays, I have several $100,000 in my bank account, and a couple of years ago, just 4 to 5 years ago, I had nothing. Nothing. I mean, now that I talk about it, I'm getting a little bit crazy and excited at the same time, because it's still hard for me to understand on a logical level how this is actually possible. But the good news is you don't have to understand it on a logical level, and I don't have to understand it on a logical level. We just have to understand it on a spiritual level. And that's why it's important for you to remind yourself every 30 minutes to become familiar with the feeling. And yes, you can do that all the freaking time. For example, I have a alarm, or not really alarm, just a notification on my smartphone. The app is called Blip Blip. Yeah, I think it's called Blip Blip that I use. And this app notifies me every 30 minutes to get back into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And the more you constantly do that, the more you become it. And when you become it, you can draw it towards you. Remember what Neville Goddard said. If I be lifted up in consciousness to the naturalness of a thing desired, I will draw the manifestation of this desire to me. And by constantly being in the frequency of abundance, by reminding yourself over and over again to reach this frequency, and if you don't know how to reach that frequency, then we can work on that together in a Skype coaching session. And we can also work on that together in a hypnosis session. And if you're ready to find out more about coaching with me, you can go to affirmationtomanifestation.com/coaching. But remember, please remember that the more often you reach the feeling, the easier it will be for you to feel it and to become it. And then change your present expression of life by changing your perception. What does that mean? Changing your present expression of life by changing your perception. It means to realize that you are not only worthy of riches, worthy of money, but also realizing that you are already abundant. There's already so much abundance in your life, but you're just focusing on the aspects that you don't have yet. Think about it this way. Can you walk to the fridge and get food? Can you walk to the bathroom and have running water? Can you listen to my words right now, to my wonderful and sometimes also annoying German accent on a device, on an electronic device? Do you have internet? Yes, you have these things. Remind yourself of your abundance and remind yourself often, and do that in combination with what I just shared with you, where you reach the frequency of financial abundance over and over again. And if you want to have it easier, that's something that I actually forgot to mention a couple of minutes ago. If you want to have it so much easier to reach the frequency of financial abundance and to reach the vibration that money loves, then you might want to invest in the Money Manifestation Magnet program, which is a 6-week guided meditation program that I specifically designed for you so that you have the opportunity to reach the frequency of abundance, to manifest more wealth. And I put all the knowledge that I acquired and that I learned and that I studied and that I also experienced over the last couple of years in this program, specifically when it comes to manifesting money. And if you want to find out more about it, you can go to affirmationtomanifestation.com/money or click on the first link in the description, and then take your attention away of that which seems so real by closing your eyes and making the inner feeling even more real than any outer feeling and any outer picture could possibly be. And yes, that's the power of meditation. That's why I'm such a big fan of manifesting with meditation. But on the other hand, if you only meditate for 1 hour a day and then the remaining 23 hours a day, you are in this constant feeling of resentment, of anger, of jealousy and lack, then, well, you're doing it wrong. And that's again why I mentioned before, the more often you can tune into the feeling, the easier it will be for you to manifest the outcome that you want. Remember what Neville Goddard says, and I want to mention that quote again. If you are dissatisfied with your present expression of life, the only way to change it is to take your attention away of that which seems so real to you and rise in consciousness to that which you desire to be. Remember, he didn't say to which is so real to you, but seems so real to you, because your imagination and what you can create with your imagination is the only true reality. And that's how you lift yourself up in consciousness to the naturalness of the thing desired, by mentally stepping into the consciousness of the rich and wealthy you that you will become in the future, because now it has become natural for you to be the expression of this frequency. And that's how I use Neville Goddard's naturalness principle to manifest large sums of money, and that's how you can do it too. And if you enjoyed watching this video, please send out some love to the YouTube universe by giving this video a big thumbs up. And I would also appreciate it if you would leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know what you think about my video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to click on the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I release a new video for you.